This conference will now be recorded.
The time being 4:45 p.m., I'd like to call the meeting of February 2nd, 2023 to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business this evening is to review and approve the minutes of 1/5 and 1/19.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of 1/5 as written.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
And there was one item in here that I had a question about.
Motion to approve the minutes of January 19th as presented.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion.
I had I'll go ahead. I didn't have time to research it online, who said what, but I had a question on the chain of, excuse me, motions on the lighting discussion.
Is that on
I don't remember it happening that particular way, but if others do, that's okay.
Is this on 5 of 6, Pat?
Yeah, the top of 5 of 6.
Yep.
First, there was a motion to install the light.
Want to table it until,
We can table it until our next meeting.
I'm just asking other people. I don't remember it happening quite that way. I was going to look it up online, but it's been a crazy week for me, so I didn't have a chance to look it up.
I'll make a motion to table it till the next meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and second to table. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Maybe because Tony is expected to be here at 5, maybe we take a few minutes just to review the trash ordinance, because I know that's going to be it. Do you need the red or the additions, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Did you talk with Tony at all about the commercial property, the discussion that we had?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I was not directed to do that, so I did not do that. I just called him and asked him to come to the next meeting.
Do you happen to have what was in the last one? Or are these exactly what was in the last one, or in the red is additions,
Red,
or the red's changes?
the red is in additions to.
Okay.
So you have, I have a copy of the original one, Pat, if you want to see it, but
No, if it's just if the red is additions, then I'm fine with that. I only have that, my only issue is that one, that commercial property, that 2 of 4. And that's my only concern with the entire trash ordinance. And it's not really a concern of mine. I think it's going to be a concern with, do we have any, well, we could probably ask Tony, but you would know downstairs if we had any issues with commercial property since that it's gone into effect.
I have not heard.
Okay.
My only concern.
Your mic's off, Jim.
Thank you. My only real concern is still the fact that the where space is limited is undefined. What does that mean?
It's a phone.
Where are you, Joe?
Is that on page 2 of 4?
That's in the commercial property.
Yeah.
Language. There's a blue segment there, and it says at the end that the carts will be used for community use by multiple buildings where space is limited.
But that's my issue that I have.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's not defined.
And we had a problem last year with multiple apartments next door using each other's trash barrels.
Well, they're supposed to be able to, according to this,
That's a change, though.
but is that going to be enough barrels?
I don't think it is.
That's
right.
If you have 3 or 4 apartments sharing one barrel, that just doesn't work out. So if that were, what is space is limited?
So if you just take this property right next door,
Mhm.
you have one apartment above.
Yep.
And then the next building, you have 4 or 5 apartments.
Yep.
With at least 2 people in each apartment. So that would generate at least 1 barrel.
Oh, heck yeah.
Or
That was
2.
more than that.
Or 2 barrels. So you have 5 apartments. So that would be, anyway, 6 to 8, where this would generate 2. So you're going to share 6 among, you're going to share a couple, because up at the top it says, uh, oh, that's a multifamily, I'm sorry.
I just would like to define what that truly means.
Yeah.
That's all. And I'm
That's the-
sure Tony can do that.
Don't want a lawsuit on our hands.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Scanlon.
so I'm looking at the commercial properties in the downtown district. One of the things is the definition we have of the downtown district going railroad track to railroad track. On the west end, after the railroad tracks, we have, I believe it's 7 additional businesses that are pretty much downtown. The railroad tracks don't seem like a real boundary, more like it would be up at the intersection of Winter Street would be a boundary. There's, I think, 2 in the businesses in the building where Wallingford's used to be. I think there's a sports and a tack shop or something. And then after that, you have the market. And then across the street, you have the riverfront place that has, I know, at least 3 businesses in it. So they're a very integral part of downtown. And we're also, utilizing some stuff to beautify the downtown district that includes the sidewalks and the fence and lights down there. So I think we should expand that to Winter Street.
Mr. Pyra.
The riverfront building, they have a dumpster.
I'm just thinking the definition, regardless of, how we're going to do it, but kind of excluding 7+ businesses out of our downtown.
We've got the alarm place as well. Right?
Yeah, and that,
The market, yeah.
So that 4, 5.
Well, the
7+.
riverfront has 10 businesses in
Oh, do
there.
they? Wow.
Yeah.
Their sign is
Yeah.
pretty full. I'm going by the sign. I'm not
Yeah.
going by what's inside.
Yeah, I think there's between.
Because just the top
7
floor is
and
one
10.
business, and then you have.
There's a couple more private office spaces in there. There's the.
I mean, some of them are like
There's the
doctors.
Yeah.
There's the lighting place. There's the Sharian's, the contractor.
Yep.
I think so. We probably have at least a dozen businesses that are just on the other side of the railroad tracks.
John, my understanding is that everybody's allowed to put out 1 barrel of trash. Even like the gas station and the alarm building and even Riverfront Park could put out 1 barrel of trash is my understanding. Anything more than that has to go in a dumpster. So those businesses, I think, the equestrian place and all the rest of those businesses can put out one barrel. Or maybe I'm wrong, and I've been wrong before. So they're not excluded from anything, is what I'm thinking.
I think that the definition itself seems to exclude a good portion of businesses.
It doesn't cover them, no, but they're all entitled to trash pickup.
Mr. Pyra.
But if you change the definition, now aren't you changing zoning and making it a more complicated issue? I understand what you're saying, but it would get confusing to say, okay, well, for trash pickup, I'm part of the downtown, but for zoning, I'm mixed use, for instance, or I'm just thinking for zoning purposes, it might get a little cloudy.
So that wouldn't change. Because I believe that, I forget where the zoning, remember where the zoning goes?
Where's 3?
The zoning wouldn't change, but
Yeah.
you do open up a can of worms when you extend what you consider downtown proper.
And I don't know till Tony gets here if you then change what he has contracted for
Right, because
definition.
then you become, then parking becomes an issue, then because that's that's an ordinance designed just for downtown. Then you have to look at that. Then the sidewalk issues is downtown in the downtown proper issue. There's a couple other ordinances that are designed for that. You wouldn't change zoning per se, but you would be changing a lot of other things, not just trash.
I think we should look into it and see what things are affected by it.
Right.
Because I think they're a very integral part of downtown. And a railroad track doesn't seem like an appropriate boundary as much as the businesses and the commercial businesses and stores that are to be separated just because there's a railroad track there. I know it makes an easy boundary, but I mean, we could still have it from the, I think we should look into the definition of the downtown. I don't know if we could, in the spirit of this trash collection ordinance, just put the addresses from this address to that address. And I understand the purposes because it's very thickly settled businesses with no real property around them until
do have
after you
the
get past it.
Addresses.
Yeah. It says are defined.
I'm assuming that where it says 243 East Main Street, all the way down to 302 Main Street.
That's that. Yeah.
Yeah, but 302 is
302 is the hair salon near Tilton House of Pizza.
right. So that would be the last business
Correct.
in the downtown district.
302?
Correct.
I believe
Yeah.
so, yeah.
What's that?
It's the last building in the block where Tilton House of Pizza is. So it's the hair salon closest
Okay.
to the railroad tracks.
And what was your reasoning to go beyond that, John?
Well, the reason is that, we call it downtown district, and I think that the businesses where there are, as we speculate, there's a dozen or more businesses that are an integral part of our downtown area and stores and shopping and that, and it seems like the railroad track is not a actual boundary of where the stores are.
The
And
delineation.
it should, it would be more up towards Winter Street, an actual address. Because after that, then you go into the residential. And then on the other side on the east side, after Cumbies, it's all residential. So it more accurately defines where our downtown businesses are, especially since there is about a dozen of them down there now.
I don't know where he is. I sent him a reminder and he acknowledged.
Didn't go to the PD by accident, did it?
Do you want to move on to something else?
If we, I mean, would we want to, maybe we want to see if Kim could come up from downstairs? That's possible.
You don't want to.
Absolutely.
Anything?
Thank you.
Chestnuts.
For zoning purposes, it's defined.
Yeah, no, I know. I got it.
I might have got stuck on a call.
Putting wheels back on.
Putting wheels on. The wheels on the bingo, round and round, round. And
Yeah.
that's my tribute to Pat.
They're gonna be pretty brittle tomorrow. Tonight?
Everything's going to be brittle tomorrow and Saturday.
I have to go to Waterville Valley tomorrow. I'm not going to
Oh,
do it.
Including me.
Well, maybe I'll see you up there. I think I'm going to the
More brittle.
conference center. It's a mess.
Oh, yeah? I'm going to.
I feel brittle.
I don't know how I'm going. Outhouses?
Your door.
Hey, Kim, this is Jeannie. Are you ready to come up and see the selectmen now? A little early? Okay, thanks.
She's ready.
Okay, bye.
Definitely see where I'm going. I know where I'm going. I just don't know Town Square.
Which building?
Hmm?
See?
Town Square condos.
Yeah.
That we-
See which one?
That's actually owned by Waterville Valley Tourism.
Which, there's three buildings. Yeah.
I'm assuming it's going to be this one.
Conference center.
No, the conference center is.
I mean, there's a couple meeting rooms up there.
Yeah, don't go to the hotel. The conference center is. Exactly where the conference center is. Yeah, it's not the This is the conference center. This is the. That place.
That's all. Each time they have specials.
Yeah, that's
Gotta
good.
get there by half an hour.
Expensive.
11:30. It's not.
The podium is yours.
Go in the door and around the corner to the right.
Very fancy. So we have Town Clerk Tax Collector Kim Souls with us, talking about dog licensing. Yes.
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 I'm here to discuss our 2023 Top Dog raffle we have going. Every year we send out letters to about 800 people, dog owners in the town. I was just choking, something got caught in my throat, so I'm sorry. But every year at this time we send out licenses with renewal letters and say, it's here, come and license your dog, etc. It can't have until April 30th to license your dog. Come May 1st, you're late. And that's a problem. Out of 800 owners, we have about 220 every year. Still haven't licensed their dogs. And so we make phone calls, send letters, do everything to try to get them in so that there are no civil forfeitures. $32 for the dog, plus fees and licensing, etc. This, Becky and I came up with to save making hopefully 200 calls in May. We have a top dog raffle. Everyone who licenses their dog on time, their name is put in the raffle. We need a good phone number. We need an email address. And come May 1st, we're going to do the random generator and pick a group of winners. We have health packages for the dogs and people, a Fitbit Versa combined with a FitBark. Very successful. We have a FitBark at home on my little bit. There is a couple of Pagapaw rescue harnesses combined with first aid kits. That's from Pagadog Rescue. That's local. Brian Lawrence has donated. Domestic Dog Training has donated gift certificates. And Franklin, Newfound Pet Center, Tractor Supply. We have a lot of great donated gifts just to make this fun and have people hopefully come in on time. The letters went out midweek last week. We have 65 dogs licensed. We've already heard about 20 that are no longer with us. The response is great. I had 2 people waiting in line on Monday, and I was doing a motor vehicle registration. They had time to look around, and they had time to see the big poster downstairs. And they said, I want to license my dog. I want to do that. You're already done. Becky is so cool. She says, you're automatically entered. So great response, community involvement. We're going to send letters out, the same posters that we sent to all the owners. We're going to send them out to the supporters, the sponsors, to veterinarians. And it's just, things are hopping down there in a really positive, happy fashion. So it's already started this week, and We're having fun. Don't tell anybody, then they're going to license dogs too. But that's it. Any questions?
No. Mr.
Joe.
Scan.
Uh,
Yes, ma'am.
You sent out stuff to people? How many and where did the money come from for the postage?
For the,
Things you sent out to people with the posters in it, and I
every
just want to
year,
know what it costs.
every year there's a cost to the town of whatever it costs for postage for one letter. There's one, actually, we've got a new program avatar. They've condensed it. So you can put all the dogs on one page rather than one page per dog. So that's the mailing. We put a letter in for each one. We've copied, about 800 of these, and we put one with each sheet that goes out. So it's 2 sheets rather than 1, the same postage, but the response is great. Anything else?
No, I'll be in tomorrow to register my 2 dogs.
Come
Do I
on
get
down.
2 entries with 2 dogs?
Yes?
I got 3.
No, you don't. No, you don't. We have people that have 5 and 6 dogs, and I can't really do it. I don't want to hear it.
If you
Can't
have-
really do that, but yes, your name is in there the same as anybody else.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just get the
Good.
Anybody else?
Good. I think it's great.
Do you have to prove it's a dog? Can you register a cat as a dog and enter it?
I have heard rumors that somebody wants to bring a cat in, kind of slide it under the. We'll be watching for you, John, or Fit Bach. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
A Fit Meow,
A Fit
right.
Meow.
A Fit Meow.
yeah. I got 3 cats.
Yeah. Right. All right. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Good job, Kim. It's fun. Yay, come on down.
Mr. Belanger, it's good to see you. It happens. So the new change in format means the podium is yours. Yes, sir. So for the folks on the line or tuning in later, we welcome Tony Belanger, the Director of Municipal Services and Major Accounts from Pinard Waste, to discuss our trash collection ordinance. Selectmen had some questions on it, and that we felt that Tony would be the expert and be able to answer.
Quick question, Tony, do you have a copy of the ordinance with you?
No, I don't actually. When I went through it with the, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I don't have a copy. Thank you.
I know, Selectman Constantino, did you want to lead off? Because I know that you had a question.
Okay. Hi, Tony. How are you?
Good. How are you?
On the changes under commercial property, I had a concern with under the blue where it says these address will provide enough carts to accommodate the output of normally generated weekly solid waste. Carts will be used for community use by multiple buildings where space is limited. And I'm kind of thinking back to an issue that we had next door in the alley here next door, where now they're going to be forced to use community between 2 buildings, 2 separate owners, and 2 separate apartment dwellers.
It's always been that way. When Joyce Fullwiller first had me, when I first worked with her to set up the automated program, this is pretty much identical this here as to what she instructed me to do, railroad track to railroad track, which was because of limited space to allow multiple buildings to share rather than assigning one to each unit and then trying to keep track of serial numbers. Just give them what they need. And as the drivers were seeing overflow on a regular basis, maybe add one more in. And then like next door here, there was some back and forth. When the new tenant moved in closest to us, he assumed that those are his barrels. But the only reason that they were there was because it was so people didn't have to walk so far to get them up to the collection point from all the way back. They could bring their bags up. And that was like the initial area. So it really is not ideal to try to figure out who's producing what trash, because anybody could come and put a trash bag in someone else's barrel. So we kind of go with what's been working well and just let the squeaky wheel call us up and say, hey, I got a problem. We just got 2 new tenants and these aren't covering it anymore. The driver verifies it. I come down and I verify it. And then we add in 1 more, 2 more, whatever it seems to take care of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that answers that question. Mhm.
That was basically my question as well. Because the where space is limited is ill-defined.
Yeah, we have one area that the walkway is so thin that by the vape shop and those 14 units up above, there's a walkway going down, and we initially delivered the 95-gallon bins, and they were just sticking out too far. So it was more convenient for them for us to put in a smaller 65-gallon bins so that the walkway wasn't so hard. So we maybe added in a couple more 65s than there were 95s to accommodate that. So every little spot has some kind of signature to it that we try to help out with. So.
Mr. Scanlon.
And a question, Tony. The bins, they're actually, they're much bigger. There's some, I know of one elderly person that is having a difficulty moving it and doing that. Are there some available that are smaller?
Yeah, well, even in the old program, we advertised in the brochure the availability of smaller units. I'm actually seeing the other way around, that people like in the trailer, it used to be called Jensen's, I think it's now called Sun Communities or the Hemlocks. Because they didn't have as much recyclables, they wanted the smaller one for recyclables, but they had either the medium-sized one for trash or the big one for trash. And so now I've been kind of reverse engine once we removed our black ones. Now I'm getting some calls to bring those up to the medium-sized ones for the elderly. Yeah, we've always had that. We have 35, 65, and 95. And I took all the 35s and 65s that we recovered from the swap out, and I brought them down to Kevin at the drop-off center. And he's going to keep those there for that reason, so that I don't have to sell you my bins when you have some smaller ones here that are usable. So, but yeah, if you know of anybody, just have them call our office. And I actually do that myself because I live here. I know every address, and it's a lot quicker for me to just go and talk with people and give them. And then if they change their mind, then I can do it right on the site rather than have a crew go around there. A little harder
Makes sense.
to do
Thanks.
that.
Anything else?
Tony, we were only supposed to have one of the old recycling one, right?
So I've decommissioned. In the old program, there were some people that were given hardships for more recycling bins because they're trying to promote recycling. And it didn't go against your ordinance because your ordinance is a
Right.
trash ordinance. So in doing the removals of all of my bins, I also reduced anybody who had more than the ordinance says down to what the ordinance says. And I took them and delivered them to people who never recycled. So obviously once they lost their black one, we got a bunch of calls saying, hey, I never had a recycling bin. So I took the duplicates and brought them over to them. And then when I ran out of them, I started selling you mine. So it's been pretty good. It's a very minimal amount that I actually had to sell the town. And there's still some more coming. When I get into the downtown area here, I have to identify the multifamilies as to whether they're a 2-family or a 3-family or a 4-family, and then figure out whether they had additional bins. So I'm focusing in now on Cedar Street, Prospect, Chestnut, in that area, and should be done within a week or so.
If you wouldn't mind, stop at my house because I have two. I had rented one,
Yep,
with the yellow
the yellow
top.
top, yep.
but I still have two. They never picked up the second one.
Yeah, so you're in that area, yeah. So yours is a single family,
Duplex.
but you have 3 of them in? Gotcha, okay. Yeah, that'll.
I think that was the mistake, that they thought I'd had two.
No, I
one
just
for the
haven't
tenant,
gotten
one
to
for the
that.
other.
Ooh, excuse me. I haven't, that's the whole area I'm working in right now. Everything else was easy. The single family neighborhoods were real easy to tell if someone had 2.
Yeah.
So as I follow the trucks around, the last section I have left to do is the congested area. And like I did, the commercial stuff was pretty easy, like the Pierce room, I forget what they call that.
LPS.
IPS, yeah.
They had 2 for recycling. But of course, now that it's trash, they don't need any. So those were easy to decommission. But then I'm hoping to have enough from this area here to help repopulate downtown once you've approved this ordinance.
Right.
My plan is to do for every 2 black bins that I remove, to deliver 1 blue bin. Because in the old program, the blue bins went every 2 weeks and the black bins went weekly, of course. So if you're losing about 40 gallons, if you replace 2 to 1, it should keep the levels that we've had for the last 6 years, right around the same. So hopefully another week or 2 will be done.
I'm learning. I'm going from 3 to 2, so hard. You taught me to recycle. Now I can't.
I'm good. I got no problems. In this weather, when the garbage freezes, I'll leave it in the barn every 2 weeks. Maybe I'll bring out the can.
Well, this went just to bring you up to speed on the whole process. It went remarkably well and uneventful. The number of calls that typically I take 100% of all the calls. They try to help what they can, but they push almost everything to me. So I have a good idea of if there's like a lot of problems, right? And it was very, very, very minimal. And in terms of recovery, I think we might have, I'm counting about 20 to 25 people that we were unable to get the black bins back from, that we may have to educate come spring when the snowbirds come back to the lake and stuff. They're locked up in the garage, they go away for the winter and, that type of thing. But the blue inventory looks very good. I've been replacing lids for people that needed their lids replaced, and wheels when the wheels were broken off. It looks really good out there.
That's pleasing.
Great.
That answers my question.
Thank you, Tony.
Anything
Appreciate
else?
it.
Tony, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Is there anything else?
No?
That's it.
I
Thank
think
you.
at this point, Tony, yeah, I'll take
We'll
that.
just make a motion.
Well, I don't have an update. We didn't do a final ordinance, so you'll do that next time you meet.
Next week, okay.
Sign up next time you meet.
Can you fix the typo in there?
The were and where.
Where and
Where?
where?
Page 2 of 4 in
Page 2.
blue, last line.
Or were
Were instead of where before space is limited.
Where space?
Where instead of were.
Where are you talking about?
Where?
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 On the blue.
Oh, yeah,
In the
it should
blue-
be
in the
where.
Blueprint, last line.
Carts will be used, community use by multiple buildings.
Where
Where
space.
space is limited.
Gotcha. Okay.
I had
All
it
right.
circled.
Thanks, Tony.
You're welcome. So is it safe to say, since we're already, I just did not remove the black ones in preparation for hearing that you've approved this ordinance. It was a kind of a formality in the last agreement, and it worked okay. Is it all right if I start getting the inventory ready to go for the downtown addresses?
Yes.
Yes.
Can we make a motion contingent on you making the final draft and just put it out on sign now?
Well, actually, I guess Gail did prepare a final. I'm looking at it right here. It does not have the where were corrected, but I don't think
We could
you
do
were-
that.
We'll be
yeah.
okay. I think we'll.
Make a
It's not on
motion
the-
that we,
It's not on the page we're signing, so.
Selectman Constantino?
make a motion that we accept the newly adopted Town of Tilton Trash Collection Ordinance 910, adopted, revised January 19th, 2023, and accepted as of today, February 2nd.
Ruggles second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So yes.
Excellent.
Thanks,
All right.
Tony.
Thank
So-
you, Tony.
Next thing I'm going to do, we didn't have education for the downtown people. I think the word of mouth is probably getting around pretty good. It's a limited group. And once I start talking to people and as I do this, it should be a completed project. So at that point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to update the brochure like we would normally have for a regular year and take out the newness of it and convert it back over to just an educational brochure and send that out to be uploaded on your website as well as mine.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
You too.
So with the public hearing on the bridge, half an hour, just over half an hour away, would we be okay with starting? Well, should we do selectmen's reports or Mr. Pearson?
Well, sure, you could, thank you, Pat. You could bring him up or you could go through the town warrant. You all
Okay.
should have the email I sent out earlier today was just to let you know that the budget committee approved all the warrant articles last night.
We did.
Where they had to weigh in on those. And so now at this point, just need you to actually, you all have a copy?
I do.
To decide, and we don't have to do it tonight. We can do it, the next meeting to decide who wants to take what article at town meeting. You go through and pick who wants to speak to what article. There should be Scott or someone who has one. Mine's marked up. I just need you to go ahead and sign off.
Do we have it in here?
You should.
Draft. Number, please.
Need copies. It should be in your file. You want me to call Tim up?
I think would the board prefer to do the warrant articles now and then move to our selectmen's reports after?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. I gotta find the
Yes.
final draft first, though.
Let's have Mr. Pearson.
Want him to come up?
Yes, please.
Tim, are you listening? You want to come up?
Okay.
Where did you find it in yours? Your draft, your final.
See it.
No, I'm not seeing it.
Minutes, agenda, oh, unless it's under finance.
I got it. It's under finance report.
Evening, Mr. Pearson.
Great. Hi. Pardon me. So in your packets, you have my report and also an attachment on ARPA funds. So I think it was already mentioned that the Budget Committee had finalized the budget after the public hearing last night, and they did add back in the janitorial for the town hall and police department budgets. So their recommended budget is $6,303,579, and that is in your warrant. Does everyone see my report?
Yes.
You do. Okay, good. So, as you know, with the CBA warrant article and the inclusion of the ARPA portion that's mentioned in there, Jeannie and I thought it was important to take another look at the ARPA recommendations that had last been seen by the board. And if you take a look at the attachment, you'll see that there is $125,248 available that has not been committed to in terms of projects. So we had looked at the outstanding projects that we had recommended at one point in time and thought that it was good to match the amount of the state aid grant towards the bridge of $75,000. And then also keeping the servers and disaster recovery, and then the phase 2 for Public Works 3-phase power. The other items that were on the original list, in looking through those, we felt as though that there were other opportunities, grant opportunities, donations, maintenance and repair lines that could handle some of those other items. So that is an updated recommendation in terms of project. And I think as you think about it and discuss it by the town meeting, I think it would be a really good move to commit $75,000 of these funds towards the bridge. Any questions on our recommendation?
Mr. Scanlon.
So recommendations on the projects?
On the 75,000 to use towards the match of the bridge aid, I think.
Right.
There's some projects on there I was curious about if we're going to be using any money towards those. In particular, the ceiling and the lead mitigation downstairs. Also, we have the generator from the police station that possibly that could be put up to the senior center and used as a community warming area. It has all the facilities
Right.
for, stoves and that.
Yeah, if you look in my report under 2D and then item 2, which talks about the town hall generator, because of timing, we can't, with what needs to be done to the roof here at town hall, we can't really commit to using that generator that was removed from the old Tilton Police Department. And it can't be sold or disposed of otherwise because it was purchased with FEMA funds. So therefore, as I felt for some time, if it wasn't going to come here, the most logical place would be the senior center because it is a designated shelter and there is room for it. The building, we had some issues here of, space and where it could go. And it is natural gas, so it fits right in. And as of right now, it's just been in storage at Public Works. So, and it should be more than sufficient in terms of size to power the senior center, considering what we were powering at the old PD. But as far as the other items that you mentioned, I think those were those were items that we were looking to the town hall maintenance and repairs to address in terms of the ceiling work. And I forget the other that you mentioned. Was that it, the ceiling? Yeah. Now, there would be some cost to, the installation of the generator at the senior center, but there are still, even with this recommendation, there's still about $5,000 available in ARPA funds. So anyway, we just thought that was a prudent use towards the ARPA money.
Pat, did you? I'm sorry.
What was the disaster recovery, the server disaster? Was
So-
that on the original?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So
All right. I know what you mean then.
So it incorporates both servers, new servers at both locations, but the really expensive components there are disaster recovery backups that allow you to do bare metal server restores. So it's complicated, but basically you save a lot of time, effort, and money if you can do bare metal. In other words, you can bring in a second server and you can load everything out from the bare metal server. There's no configuration, nothing that has to be done. Whereas if you have a backup of all your applications and everything else, as we do today, and you have to replace the server, you still have to go through all the operating system configurations, all the network configurations, and it's an extensive process when it's on a server, very time consuming, and then you spend a lot of time. There's a lot of downtime in terms of just getting back to where you were prior to that. So a bare metal backup is by far the swiftest and most reliable way of getting back up and running quickly.
Thanks, Tim.
And those are about $10,000 a piece. So one here, one at the PD. So in case if there are no other questions on the ARPA, let's see. Then also my item number 3. So as you know, we have the Xerox copier sitting in the large conference area right now, and I'd like to see if we could sell that and get some money for it, as well as I've got 4 Dell thin client systems that might bring a few $100 a piece. But this is one of these things that at some point in time, older equipment isn't going to have much value left to it. Thin client is a little more expensive environment anyway. So I think there's a possibility, but again, neither one of these did we pay for out of pocket. These were from the federal courts, and so that's so what I'm looking for is consensus to be able to move surplus things before they're totally out of value.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Great. And then lastly, as you know, we're going through the audit right now. I'm still working on closing 2022. Few little things left, but we've started working on the audit, working with the auditor. And as you may have seen, that you have letters that were handed to you regarding fraud risk and that sort of thing. But you'll also receive at your homes a more in-depth governance letter that will ask you about all sorts of different questions about the control and tone at the top, the what you understand financial responsibility, not only of yourself, but of the departments. And the purpose of this last paragraph is really to just sort of remind you that as much confidence that you may have in Jeannie or me or anyone else that's here or in our positions in the future, it still is ultimately a responsibility as selectmen to keep an eye on the financial ongoings of the town, and including not just the financial processing, but also the the bang for the buck, if you will, by department. Are we wasting money? Are we saving money? Are we utilizing our time properly? All those other things that sort of lead into that financial report that will eventually be generated. But so much of this comes down to inspecting what you expect, and really asking a lot of questions. And I do appreciate this board and boards before you, because oftentimes I get a lot of hard questions, and it's good, because for me or anyone else in my position, it's the kind of thing that there should always be a dialogue that's open, and if somebody doesn't have the answer, they'll get it, kind of thing. But it's, as you look through these auditor documents, you'll see that ultimately the tone at the top rests with you. Your concern or lack of concern, your interest in or lack of interest in, will be reflected in everything throughout the town departments. And so I'm happy to say I think things are in pretty good shape. I hope they stay that way. But it's just my annual reminder that this is something that we should review periodically and just, all sort of refresh. So that's all I have for you, unless you have any questions for me.
I have one.
Selectman
Do you-
Constantino.
Do you need an approval on the unapproved projects from us?
I
If
don't
you,
think we're, Go ahead.
You're not at the point? Okay.
yeah, I mean, if you'd like to, I think it would make sense prior to town meeting.
This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry, Gail. In any event, I think it would make sense to do that prior to town meeting, so that you've got a good, good narrative for the bridge at that point, over and above what we already have.
Yep.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Those are to be signed. I don't, I can't remember if these were to be.
Now the town warrant.
Hmm?
Thought we were going to go over the town warrant.
What?
Thought that's
Does
what
Tim
we,
need to be here for that?
Hmm?
Does Tim need to be here?
Tim,
Tim?
they're going over the warrant in case you want to be here for it. Here's a copy for you.
I think this first one should be you.
I am so shocked by that. So that is like, last year it was the police cruiser, and this year we'll put Selectman Ruggles right up on front with the bridge. I'll be
So moved.
I will be happy to
Right.
present Article 3. So yeah.
Great.
Article 4. Anyone want to tackle Article 4? Kayla, Phil,
I'll do it.
Mr. Pyra has Article 4. Oh, look at you with your document camera up there,
Got that.
getting all snazzy on us.
We're on Article 5, Tim.
Article 5,
Well,
CBA,
this is preparing
Selectman
for the-
Constantino.
Public hearing.
Give me a lot of notes.
So you're taking Article 5? Okay.
With a lot of notes.
And the police staff behind you.
Yeah,
Standing right
all the
behind.
police
So, and Walter.
and Walter.
Gotta watch that, Walter.
Article 6, which is the Town Buildings Infrastructure Capital Reserve Fund.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Scanlon, excellent.
That's a good one.
Article 7, I'm not going to say it's a slam dunk.
That
but
goes to the budget committee.
okay, budget committee's on
Yeah.
that one. 8, Senior Center Expendable Trust.
Do that.
Pat will take that. Article 9, the Heavy Equipment Capital Reserve. Mr. Jessman.
Sure.
10 is Town Roads, Bridges, Sidewalks, Capital Reserve Fund.
Do it.
I'm happy
I'll
to.
do it. I just,
Eric?
yeah,
Okay,
I'll do it. Sorry, I mumbled.
gotcha. Article 11 is the Revaluation Capital Reserve Fund.
I don't mind doing it, but
Joe? Okay.
Joe wants it. Joe wants it.
Yeah.
Joe.
Article 12 is the Lake Improvement Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund. I'll take that one. So I love milfoil.
Unless you don't want to do it,
Okay.
I'm involved in it a lot.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Because
that's
of
right, because you have the
conservation,
information.
yeah,
Sure.
it makes
Okay,
it
yeah.
easy for us.
So switch that over. John will do Article 12. And I'll be happy to take Article 13, which is it follows up with 1 and
Yeah.
3 and 13. So. And we don't have to do, we don't have to do 14 and 15.
Well, I mean, it is a vote.
Okay.
So I think it's just,
Explanation.
yeah.
Okay.
Just stand up and read it and
And it's
move
very-
it to the
it's-
floor.
It's very easy. All it is you're expanding it to those people who are now serving.
Who are now
That's it.
serving. Okay.
Right.
That's fine. I mean, I'll read both of them if that's
Okay.
fine.
So, great, thank you for that. I'd like to get your signatures on that, but we're waiting for one, Tim, thing from DRA. Just a confirmation of something. So my thought is if we could, once we get that confirmation, if we could put that up on Sign Now.
Yeah, I would think
Sign
so. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I checked right before I came up and it's an odd thing. It's not for any of the new warrant articles. It's
Yeah.
just
It's
an old
a
one.
housekeeping issue.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
After 4, you think you can get anyone from the state to respond to you?
I didn't.
Before 4, couldn't get any response.
All right. Sorted those out. Yes. We know we have 10 minutes.
Right along.
May I ask, Mr. Pearson, you may or may not, or Jeannie may or may not on this. I'm just looking through the abatements folder. Do we know how much the accrued interest is on one of these, the one that was there? In term, I don't know if you know, it came through from the town clerk tax collector.
No, she would
Better
have to
question.
answer that
Okay,
question.
okay. All right. I'll let everyone else look at it. All right, we have 10 minutes. I could read all the set announcements that are already.
Yes, you could.
I can read the set announcements that I have for my Selectmen's report. So a few reminders and announcements. Continued reminder that the winter parking ban is in effect November 15th to April 15th from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. No parking on any street. Vehicles will be towed at the owner's expense. Per RSA 39(3), the last day to submit petitioned warrant articles is on Tuesday, February 7th. Declarations of candidacy for elected town office positions began on Wednesday, January 25th, and will expire this Friday, February 3rd at 5 p.m. You may file at the office of the town clerk at Town Hall, 257 Main Street, during regular business hours. The office will remain open until 5 p.m. on Friday, February 3rd, solely for this purpose. The open positions are as followed. Selectmen, 2 positions, both 3-year terms. Town clerk tax collector, 1 position, a 3-year term. Supervisor of the checklist, 1 position, 5-year term. Budget committee, 1 position, 3-year term. Sewer commission, 1 position, 3-year term. Library trustee, 1 position, 3-year term. Trustee of the trust funds, 1 position, 2-year term. Trustee of the trust funds, 1 position, 3-year term. The town elections will be held on Tuesday, March 14th at Winnisquam Regional High School. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And also our town meeting will be on Saturday, March 18th at Winnisquam Regional High School, beginning at 8 a.m. Mr. Pyra.
I have a question, just since you're doing announcements. I've seen it in other towns, but I haven't seen it here yet with extreme cold weather coming in. Is there any warm shelters in the town available to our citizens if they need it?
That would be a question, I think, for the police chief. He is the emergency management director, and he will be here later tonight
Okay.
to go over the SRO contract.
Okay.
Excellent.
Really, really good question.
Then I will save that in my back pocket. And I'm going to put it down on my agenda. So.
That's there.
I was hoping to take a little more time to answer me so I could kill some of the minutes.
We've got 9 minutes. We've got 9
Just
minutes.
trying to help out.
So I think I sent you all a copy of the revised contract, the clean contract. And I think it's in here. Did everybody already sign it?
The
Yeah.
revised
Contract?
janitorial.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, so you're good with that. Maybe have somebody else do their report.
Would someone else like to do their selectmen's report? Selectman Constantino, you would be first up.
I just have one thing. Senior Center, we're kind of all zipped up with the storm damage. Everything is repaired or replaced back, and it's back up and running. The executive committee did buy a new commercial refrigerator, which we're waiting for Kevin to have some availability. He's going to move a couple of the cabinets to the left about 5 inches so that it can fit in that space in the kitchen. It's kind of big. It's very nice, glass doors on it. And that's the only missing piece to the senior center. The rest will all be up and running. And Eric did ask about a warming center, and we are available to open up the senior center as a warming center this weekend for cold weather. If you know of any seniors or people that need a place, we are ready to and available to do that on Saturday and Sunday, although Sunday's supposed to be pretty warm. But if they're in need or pipes break or whatever, it's always that possibility. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Jessamine, you got 7 minutes.
I have no report.
Ow. Mr. Pyra?
I have no report either.
Moving right along.
Mr. Scanlon?
Ditto.
Really? So,
Yeah, it's just.
Wow.
You know,
so I had one
Write
other.
that down. Make sure it's in the minutes.
So, so I did have one other thing, as many of us know, and the citizens have noticed that we had approved back in late 2022 for the removal of the trees on the small trees on Main Street. And there's a few different layers of that. So I just wanted to clarify for the public the reasons behind that we as a board had discussed and taken into account. Number one, in terms of the potential damage that could be done to the sidewalks when the root systems start to grow as the trees started to get larger. That was on guidance of a local arborist that we work with in our parks and helps trim back some of our trees. He was concerned that in the next couple of years that those root systems might start pushing up through the sidewalks and causing damage and then causing issues for safety. Another reason was obviously the passing by and the ability to be able to clear the sidewalks in the winter as well. A couple of other things as we had started to look at and think about in terms of economic development and the ability to see the businesses using some other municipalities around us who have decided to open up the facades and be able to see the facades of the businesses in their downtowns. Franklin and Laconia being two easy ones to be able to see, that we thought it would be able to help visibility for the businesses downtown as well. The electricity is still there. Our short-term idea is to be able to put plantings and barrels out on many of those spots for the spring and summer. And the long-term plan is to be able to put light posts in where we will be able to hang, plants in the future as well, and be able to have some lighting on Main Street. So if anyone has questions, don't hesitate to text or call one of the select board members. So could anyone else on the tree removal? And we thank our DPW who did it fairly efficiently and quietly. So it was,
I got a ton of questions.
Oh.
I got a ton of calls.
yeah, I got
I
some
had to call
too.
Jeannie about the electric because I didn't think we ever talked about the electric
Yeah.
part about it.
It's still there. They put
Yeah.
it down so no one would trip on it. So, which is,
Yeah, I found that out.
So, question for you, since we got a few minutes.
Right here,
Candidates
Bob.
night, who do you want to moderate that?
the which one?
The candidates
15,
night.
I know. It was here before I got here.
Usually it's a moderator, but the moderator has a
What's that,
relationship
young
with
leader?
one of the
Candidates.
He's had longer than
candidates.
me.
So
What day is it?
it's whatever date we choose.
Okay.
So I was looking at dates and thinking it should be, so the election is on the 14th, so it should probably be at least 2 weeks is typically what they do before the,
We're talking about candidates night and who should moderate it, because our current moderator has a direct relationship with one of the candidates. So
The current moderator.
Ellen Hanks.
Ellen Hanks.
March 1st?
Oh, I get it.
Yep.
Ugh. I'm trying to think of which one. Not with it.
It's exactly 2 weeks before.
28th?
Yeah, 28.
What day is that?
The Tuesday.
28th? That'd be good.
Because that's exactly 2 weeks before the election.
Are there any other meetings, like school board meeting or something like that on that date? I think we have some
Not
type
school
of
board.
conflict.
It wouldn't be school board.
My
No.
Meet on
thought would be
Mondays.
to
They
do
meet
it
on
on a
Mondays.
Thursday night because you have the room.
Okay.
So that would be the 23rd of February.
The what?
23rd,
23rd of
because we know
February.
we have this room that we could do.
That would be around.
If everyone's okay, I'll come moderate. I mean, I'll be free on Thursday. So, yeah,
Selectmen
thanks.
shouldn't be moderating it
Okay,
because there's open positions for selectmen.
that's
We've-
true.
We've tried to exclude selectmen from moderating in
I don't know if
prior years.
Chuck would be up to it.
Chuck Senator Sanders. He may want to. Try to get a neutral party.
I think Chuck did it for our candidates night. That was online, but I think he did it for that.
How about Ellen Hanks?
She can't because of,
Oh, she's
Catherine's
the one who,
running.
Yeah.
Correct, Catherine.
because she has an interest party.
yeah.
How about,
But
what about Fred Caruso?
Fred Caruso.
uh,
He's not. He's a Northfield resident.
that's fine. It doesn't matter who it
Doesn't have to
is.
be a resident, just to be a moderator.
Be one of the newspaper people too. Doesn't matter. As long as they're neutral.
Sure. Yeah, let's ask Fred.
But is everybody agreeing on the 23rd? Because I have a conflict that night.
That was only my suggestion because, Thursday nights this space is free. Unless you feel like you want to have it at the EOC. You usually don't get a lot of people attending, but either way, we have the.
Tuesday's a conflict night, the 28th?
I don't know. I would have to check. I don't know what
The
So-
planning board,
planning board.
is at least they're on the calendar.
But again, you could have it over at the EOC and then there wouldn't be a worry. And I just need to check with the chief to make sure he doesn't have any training.
I would hope we would have it at the EOC anyway, because there would be more than 20 people at a candidates night.
It typically hasn't been, but
If you throw all the candidates
Yeah.
in, it could be.
All right, we're at 6 o'clock, so let's,
Oh, okay.
so we can come back to it after. Time being 6 p.m., I'd like to open the public hearing to receive comments on the warrant article on the bond for the Tilton Island Bridge. Per the requirements of the Municipal Finance Act, Section 33, 8A, there shall be at least one public hearing concerning a proposed municipal bond in excess of $100,000 held before the governing board of any municipality. Notice of the public hearing was published in the Laconia Daily Sun on January 26, 2023, 7 days before the hearing. The notice was also posted on the website homepage, town bulletin board, and town kiosk. The warrant article reads as follows: to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1 million for the repair and reconstruction of the Tilton Island Bridge. $1 million of such sum to be raised through the issuance of bonds or notes under and in compliance with the Municipal Finance Act, New Hampshire RSA Chapter 33, to authorize the selectmen to apply for, obtain, and accept federal, state, or other aid, if any, including a grant award from the Land and Water Conservation Fund in an anticipated maximum amount of $500,000. That may be available for said project, which aid funding and or any donations shall be used to reduce the amount of bonds and or notes to be issued and to comply with all laws applicable to said project. To authorize the selectmen to issue, negotiate, sell, and deliver such bonds or notes, and to determine the rate of interest thereon and the maturity and other terms thereof, and to authorize the selectmen to take any other action or to pass any other vote relative thereto. This article is recommended by the selectmen and the budget committee. Some background information on the bridge. Tilton Island Park was commissioned by Charles Tilton. The bridge was erected in 1881 by the A.D. Briggs Company and John R. Smith Builders, who had history in specializing in the construction of the Truesdale patented iron truss bridges. It's listed on the National Historic Register of Historic Places and named as one of 7 to save in 2021 by the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance. Through a grant from the New Hampshire Land and Community Heritage Investment Program, an assessment of the bridge was commissioned and completed by Hunter Research, Inc., Structures North, and VJM Metal Craftsman, LLC in April of 2022. A copy of that report is available on the tiltonnh.org website homepage. The report offers new information on the bridge's historical background, an assessment of the bridge's historic integrity, a current conditions survey, an alternatives analysis, and recommendations for preserving this exceptional, one-of-a-kind historic resource. The bridge is the only cast and wrought iron bridge of its kind in the country. The bridge has national significance, and the New Hampshire Department of Historical Resources concurs. We are currently looking to grant funding to apply for a national designation of historical significance, which will assist in eligibility for other grant funding. After 142 years of use, the bridge is failing in multiple areas, making it unsafe for use, and it has been closed. So there are other options for the bridge. Don't restore the bridge and install a replica, likely the same amount of money as the restoration. Keep the historic bridge in place, don't restore, and build a new bridge alongside it. The historic bridge will be closed to the public but still on display. Don't restore the bridge and install a new bridge at a cost of approximately $500,000. Put the old bridge on display somewhere upside down, but the upside is that it's still historical. The downside is that it will continue to deteriorate. And then the option of restoring the bridge. The recommendation is to remove the bridge off-site to repair the damage, restore the bridge, and then put it back in place, likely a 2-year process. Some work can be done locally. Some pieces will have to be shipped to specialty companies for repair. Rough estimate of the cost in the study is $800,000 to $1.2 million. The town would actively seek grants and fundraising to cover costs, but there likely will be some cost to the community. While the bridge is being restored, we can install a temporary footbridge for approximately $350,000, or keep the island closed until it's restored and is reinstalled, saving $350,000. At this time, I'll open up for comment. Select Board. Any comments from the Select Board? None from the Selectmen. So, Mr.
I will say, I think the bridge is an important asset to the town of Tilton. I support the restoration of the current bridge. Not so much the $300,000 for a temporary footbridge, but I'm in favor of this. I know it's spendy and we're trying like mad to raise money and get grants. We have some money together now. But this is, and because we bond for $1 million doesn't mean we borrow $1 million. That's it.
Anyone else? So we will open up comments from the audience. It's bigger than our other audiences.
Okay. It's on. Is the amount of
If you could, yeah,
like
and
that?
yeah, and
Yeah.
and please, please state your name and.
Yeah, Bob King, Lancaster Hill Road. Is the amount of 800,000 to 1.2 million a realistic amount to fix this? Or is it something that's gonna go beyond that? Because it would seem like there's a lot of ins and outs to repair on that bridge.
So from the analysis that was done in the study, Mr. King, is that is a strong range of estimate in terms of the ability to repair it so that we have it usable again.
Where'd you get that estimate
That
from?
is it's in the study that's published online.
Okay. Yeah. So what about the grants?
Very good question. So as we articulated in the warrant, we are applying for a grant from the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which could be a maximum of $500,000. The piece of that grant is that it's a matching grant. So one of the reasons for the bond is that that we need to, on the matching grant, be able to have the funding in hand so that we could show the grant people at New Hampshire Land and Water and Conservation that we have the other matching money. Obviously, as everyone on the board knows, is that we would like to minimize we would like to minimize the effect on taxes for our taxpayers. So, being able to go out, raise the funds, we have set aside now $75,000 that we had received for the state for bridge work. That would go on the other side to help match with the grant. So, if we work very hard in terms of a fundraising piece, we could offset the full 500,000 from the grant and then the other 500,000. So covering the $1 million overall, hopefully completely taking away the tax burden. So, but if we don't have the money there to show the folks from the grant, then it's not matching, if you understand where I'm going with that.
In other words, you would have to pay for it all.
Correct.
Have you looked into the state of New Hampshire under the Historic Preservation Office, the historic bridges?
So, yes.
Because they do have a department that a lot of the funds for a lot of the covered bridge works in the state, they get money from them, which is pretty substantial. But of course, it has to be applied for. But there is that. And when you said there are other options, what were you thinking other than the temporary bridge?
To be able to access the island again.
Yeah,
It's
other than the steel bridge that's currently there.
put a new one in, but that's going to cost that's going to cost a large chunk of change. So, and that one, the full burden would be on the taxpayers.
And they wouldn't be able to get any money for a new bridge.
So as of right now, we've been researching just the grants to be able to repair this one.
Yeah, right. Well, do you want to say anything?
Steve O'Leary. What's the impact on our tax rate with this, Tim?
Mr. Pearson.
So, so the grant information wouldn't be known until October. And even if any bonds or notes were taken out at that point in time, there wouldn't be any impact to 2023. It would be in 2024. And to give you an example, a $500,000 10-year note of course, at today's rates, is about 11 cents on the tax rate in terms of what our town valuation is today. If you were to go to the whole $1 million, say the maximum, that would be $22 or 22 cents per thousand, or $22 per 100,000 of value. So a $200,000 house would be $44, so on and so forth. So, but again, that wouldn't be until 2024.
Thank you.
Again, is this is going to be an article on the town warrant this year? Is this correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So when this comes up for vote on the 18th of March, is there going to be any additional information that can be added to that so that people aren't wondering how much grant money we're going to get or what's going to happen? You said the grant money you wouldn't know about until October?
Correct.
Well, there's one grant in particular, the Land and Water Conservation Grant, which is $500,000, up to $500,000, and that would be awarded in the October timeframe. And I think that one is one that Jeannie in particular is looking at to offset this project. So in other words, even so, there wouldn't be any bonding done. As far as I understand, the board's intention is not to bond anything until we know whether or not we've been successful in getting that. Now, it is possible that there could be other grants, or there could be donations or other things that could more than make up for that, that they might want to take action sooner. But that seems to be a pretty good timeline in terms of the majority of the grant availability for this type of project.
Do you know at this point in time, is there anybody that the town has in mind to refurbish this bridge?
So because it is the only wrought and cast iron bridge of its kind left in the country, it's a very special bridge, and only certain experts on this type of bridge. So what we have been told by the folks who did the assessment is that there are members, cross pieces in the bridge that are really failing, and those pieces would need to be removed and then sent away where they would be reconstructed, right? So, and then a majority of the bridge could actually stay here in New Hampshire. And there is and I can't remember the name of the company, but I think it's in Tilton or Northfield, that actually could do the bulk of the work, and that could stay here. And you would have local contractors involved in restoring those pieces of the bridge.
Well, that's good that if somebody in the area could work on it instead of sending it way out to Pennsylvania or Ohio
And it,
someplace.
right, and it won't be the whole bridge. It'll be pieces. It'll be
Yeah.
cross pieces.
Yeah. I'm really a covered bridge fan. Okay. And I've read a lot of books on covered bridges, and actually I have one up in my backyard too. And upon reading a lot of that, it goes into a lot of detail. Usually what happens is somebody goes through the bridge and looks it over and decides that, okay, the cords or the trusses need to be redone in the
Right.
bridge. And what usually happens is more often than not, they dig into it and they find out that, this is a little more work than what we had thought. And things are rotted out pretty bad. And they end up doing extra work that they weren't expecting until they took the thing apart. Kind of like the foundation on a house. When you replace the foundation, you say, I didn't realize this was rotted. And then you get into it, and it's a little more than what you think.
The team that did the assessment on this bridge are very well known, and in fact, they are they do all the assessments for the New Hampshire DOT on all the bridges around the state of New Hampshire. So the gentleman is very well known. He's an expert in his field.
Yeah.
And they actually did a site visit to New Hampshire to the bridge and spent several days on the bridge. If you go on the website, you'll see the report, and they have pictures. You can see just what, from far away the bridge looks good, but
It
if you
looks
look
good.
up if you look
Yeah,
up close, you can see there's
I
some
got
real
a couple
issues.
of pictures here of some of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't look too good to me on some places. But I really believe it's going to be more than what it actually is estimated. That's what I think. And my own personal opinion is, I think you could save the bridge and Mr. Ruggles said, put it aside as a piece there for historic value and put something else in there that would be for the town, like a covered bridge. Has anybody seen the one in Belmont?
Yes.
Okay. That bridge there came from Dover in 3 pieces. And it was a footbridge in Dover. And they had it sitting in their backyard by the town shed in Dover for many years. And Belmont bought that bridge, I think, for $1. And they hauled it all the way up here. Leslie Roberts' crew hauled it up to Belmont. It cost them $12,000. Things like that don't come along very often, but sometimes you run into it. But I think that a covered bridge would look really nice crossing that river, being a footbridge that you can take your tractor over to mow the lawn and stuff, but less money than we'd spend on this steel bridge. And I understand it's historic and there's one of a kind, but I really believe it's going to cost more than what they're saying it's going to cost. Just me.
Steve O'Leary again. Can we get federal funding to do this bridge?
That is the Land and Water Conservation Fund is federal money.
Yep.
It's the same grant opportunity they used for Riverfront Park. I think that project was $1 million, wasn't it, back how
Little
many
more,
years
yeah.
ago?
All set?
I know there's several people in the area that here I am on covered bridges again, that do this, okay? And there are a family up in Holderness that does this. It's called the 3 G Construction. It's run by Stanley Grattan. He's the grandson of Milton Grattan, who did this for many years. He's passed away about 20 years ago. And he also has a son called Arnold Grattan that builds bridges and is very good at what he does, because they all learn from their father. And there's several bridges that he's done, and they seem to do it at a reasonable price. Okay. When you get the state involved building something like that, it becomes quite a bit more expensive. But these two fellows are pretty good. And then there are others too, you know.
The other piece to consider in terms of putting new bridges in is the fact that with the footings that we have, with everything that is already there, with the Department of Environmental Protection, et cetera, because it was established prior to 1965, I'll use layman's terms, there's far less hoops that you have to jump through. But if we were to install a new bridge, then brings in new pieces and new parts. And so, as we all know, with the Department of Environmental Protection and things going into the waterway, there becomes a far longer process in terms of the red tape, et cetera.
So you have to build new abutments.
More than likely, especially if we wanted to just keep that as a showpiece. And then, to be honest, you stop and you look and you're going to double the upkeep, because we're going to want to keep the historic bridge presentable. And then we have another bridge that you start to double the upkeep on those. Conversation last night in the open forum at the budget committee meeting too was talking about, if we go along and if we want to keep this wonderful piece of history that we have, is, can we encourage some folks to start a nonprofit, the Friends of the Bridge, so that we can then take in, and we had a representative from Lowe's with us last night who works on major grants from Lowe's Corporation as well. So she was here last night with us, and they would love to be able to work, but they need to be able to go through a nonprofit for that. So that just came to us last night and came across the radar screen at the budget committee. So we think there are other opportunities out there. I'm a history guy. I've been a history teacher for 30 years, and I would love to be able to see us retain this piece, but obviously making sure that we are doing our due diligence for the taxpayers as well, and making sure that we're not tapping into the pockets very deeply at that. So, it's a wonderful, wonderful piece, and there's not more than about 70 of those wrought iron bridges left in this country. And this is the only Truesdale Trust Bridge left. So I read that whole report. That's how much of a nerd I am. So I read the whole thing and went through it.
I understand.
Yeah.
You're passionate about that, just as I am passionate about the covered bridges.
I love those too. I have spent multiple miles on my motorcycle going to the covered bridges around the state.
I have too. In Vermont, all over the place. And I think we're both on the same page as far as being history buffs.
Sure.
But I agree with you. If we could save that bridge at a reasonable cost, it would be worth it.
Yeah.
But if it all of a sudden it jumped up to $2.5 million for unexpected stuff that, we didn't see this, or we didn't know this, then it becomes a little more problematic to pass.
Yeah, and I think when you look at that report, the extent to which the groups who came in and looked at it, and literally, spent time underneath the bridge and taking a look at everything. You're right. Could there be some more assumed cost that comes with it when they get in and they take a look at the new bolts that they may have to craft and make? Wrought iron's very funky to work with. You can't just weld wrought iron, because it takes the impurities out of it and then it hardens it and stiffens it more. So, it's not, and people have said, can't we just weld it? You can't just weld wrought iron. It's not, it's not one of those things that you can just weld. So, there's an inherent risk in, as you know, there's an inherent risk in any restoration that the cost could go up. I think in terms of the depth of the study that they did and how they looked at it, and it wasn't just coming in and taking a look. They were underneath and photographing and taking a look, and they've got a significant amount of expertise in the wrought iron bridge thing. So, I would hope that it wouldn't go too far north of what they've estimated it. So, we all hope that, but you know,
I'm just concerned with the prices of everything today.
as we have all discussed that as well.
You
So,
know, it's
yeah.
like, okay, 2 years from now, when they, or a year or so, whenever they get to work on it, is the estimate going to be the same
Yeah.
then as it, is now?
Yeah.
That's,
Well, there'll be a contract signed in
Yeah.
advance. It's not going to be oh my goodness, look at this, you know?
We'll have Joe negotiate that. He's very good at that. So. Is there any comments from anyone online? Nothing. Anything else, gentlemen? Good. So you can email any one of us. Eric Pyra will take the email. So
Thanks for coming
yeah,
in,
we
Bob.
thank you very
Appreciate
much
it.
for coming.
Jim.
So we thank you
Thank you.
very, very much. So,
You had the public hearing at the police station. You had, like 25 people.
Yeah.
well, it was those stairs, as they said. The stair. Good. Anything else from the select board on this?
I will say, I'm sure we'll have a spirited discussion about this at town meeting.
And I'd like to thank Selectman Constantino for volunteering me to present at the town meeting. Thank you, Selectman Constantino.
We'll have every bit of information that we can have. We will.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
we
absolutely.
We will.
Yeah. Yeah.
In order to get it to pass, if we can't answer the questions, it doesn't deserve to pass, quite frankly.
You gotta have 60.
Just one quick question. What happens if it doesn't pass? What do we?
We have a bridge that's closed, and then we talk about that.
Next stage. Yeah.
Yep.
And covered bridges. We'll talk about lots of things.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's a rope bridge. A rope bridge. Yeah, that leaves us.
So zip line from the Tilton mansion all the
there
way
you go.
across.
That's now you're talking.
$10 a person.
Now
and
you're
then you
tread-
can start
Now you're treading on private property there.
Yeah.
private public partnership.
Don't give Scott any ideas.
Listen, when the water's down, I'll just walk across.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Up on the rock.
You can see the students coming down now.
No, please, no.
That's probably how the flamingos got there.
I don't know that, honestly. So,
Mhm.
but
Are they still up there?
yeah.
Yeah,
they're
in the
winter
snow, I
snow.
saw 'em.
Hearing no other comments or question, I will close the public hearing at 6:27 PM. So I'm not even going to come close to jinxing. Our next order of business is the town administrator's report. Don't. Selectman Constantino, don't.
I have several action items under my report. The first is the liability waiver agreement between the town and the Tilton Northfield Water
Thank you.
District. A electronic copy was sent to you on 1/30 and a hard copy is in your packet. It has been reviewed by the town attorney with changes that protect the town, and don't know if the board wants to take another week and look at this and then come back and make comments, or if you're ready to approve it now. The next step would then be to have Tilton Northfield Water District take a look at it and see if we can move this forward. Our DPW director is very anxious to get started on this project.
I read it. I'm fine with it.
I'm okay
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, so
I saw it too. Yeah.
You need a motion? Or just
Did
consent?
you
Yeah,
read it, John, or do you need to help hold it over?
No,
Oh, you read
yeah,
it? Okay,
yeah,
fine.
we've been
So-
going over this for a while.
right. So if you're good with that, then I'm going to go ahead and see what the water district, if they have any comments on it. Next item on the list is the school resource officer memorandum of understanding. I did, don't want to jinx anything, but I was on the schedule to go at 8 o'clock, and I did ask the chief to come back in case you had any questions. Tim has looked at it. You should have a red line version, and you should have a clean version of the document. I can reach out to the chief and ask him to head over, and we can move on to something else if you like.
I just have one question and you might be able to answer it. Wait a minute. I don't want the red line version. Hold on. Oh, there's no pages on it. Number 6, chain of command. As it says, will be subject to the change of command determined by the town and the chief of police. Do you know what that is?
As an employee of the town, the SRO will be subject to the chain of command determined by the town and the chief of police. I don't know. My guess would be that you would meet with the chief and determine what the chain of command is, but I don't know.
Do we want to move forward with Jeannie's stuff and ask Abe to come over so that he can, I would feel more comfortable with him just in terms of,
You have that same question?
so when I was looking at it, yeah, I wondered
Does
what.
anybody else have any other questions on it?
No.
That was the only question that I had on it. The other changes were fine with me.
Yeah. Looked good.
I don't want to take up Abe's time.
Hey, chief, can you head over here now? Okay, perfect, thanks. Okay, bye.
Oh, but you had
He's
it.
on his way over. He said it'll be about 15 minutes, so.
Okay.
Go on to something else.
So the next item is the pets in the workplace policy and agreement. I made changes based on our conversation, one of the last meetings. And again, I don't know if this is something you're prepared to look at right now, or if you want to hold on to it for a week or so. It's not anything that can't wait until the next meeting.
We wait on that.
There's 2 different parts to this,
One is an agreement that is signed by the employee,
and then the
and the other
other
is the policy.
Because they both say pets in the workplace and then pets in the workplace. Oh, I see. It says agreement in black.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I'd rather hold on. I'd rather read it.
Okay, so we'll bring that up at the next meeting. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
You sent that to us digitally though, right?
Did.
Yes.
I'm going to leave this in the packet here then.
Okay. Next item is the School Street entrance alley lighting update. So I met with Josh Carter regarding the lighting placement. I did send you all pictures, and you all should have gotten this. So I'll pass it out and you can look at it. The conduit actually is running in the back of the building, and there's probably about a 12-inch piece that comes around the corner for the light that would go here, and then a light would go there. So a light would shine down on the door, and then another light shines down on the alley. And I asked him specifically if that light was going to shine into the neighbor's windows, and he said no. So that is the placement. You would not see other than, as I said, 12 inches of, and you'll see in the picture what the conduit looks like, that little gray piece. So that was, and Tim and I talked about it too, and it may be that, I don't know, and I can have that conversation with Josh. I don't know if you just put it on this side, if it would light up the alley, or if you need one on both corners. And then there was a request to find some
Well,
period
I
lighting
get
or
it.
some
I
historical
don't- I see
lighting
the light.
that would go above the handicap entrance ramp. And I think I sent you all this too. Josh has these. It's 24 inches high, 12 inches wide, comes out 19 inches from the wall. These are they are $250 a piece. You could put one or you could put two.
Yeah, is there a picture of the light fixture proposed to go on the wall?
I showed you that before. It's the
So
same.
it's the same
It's the same one.
rectangle LED?
Yes.
That would be on over the. Mr. Scanlon.
So when we brought this up before, I point out that there is a electrical box right where the previous light was mounted over the door, and the town hall assessment report said that that should be replaced for safety, and that was written on there. I think if we put two of those and perhaps one of the other lights on the alley to light up the alley where it's not architecturally a facade of the building, because we have the air conditioners, we're going to have heating, gutters, all that runs in the alley. That back there, something less architecturally would be more acceptable, which would throw some light that way, but also light up the steps with one of those. So we'd have two matching lights like that would be over the steps. In the existing fixtures where there have been lights, and then have that other light around the corner, and until such time that a telephone pole light is installed, because we know the date.
Do we know how much light this will throw off? Does it go into the sidewalk?
Well, I would guess just by looking at it, because it's illuminated all the way around, you're going to get a lot of light. It's, it's not like it's covered and then it's shooting up. It's all around. So he did say it would be an LED light that is included with, the lamp itself. But to answer your question specifically, I don't know. I would guess by looking at it that it would be fairly illuminating.
So it would cover what in front of these doors down here, and it would cover the ramp going out
Right, because
and
what
people walking up.
John's talking about is having two of those, one over the doors
Right.
and one over the ramp. And then, if
also-
I
Right.
understand, then the
Right.
one LED light that is
Going
not
to the alley.
aesthetically pleasing in the alley.
That would allow, some light to the alley, and also because of the side of the building it would illuminate more towards that telephone pole area, but would be kind of hidden from view from architecture.
And the one going to the alley, would that be sufficient enough to cover where that pole lighting to the pole area, that sidewalk area, where we want to cover temporarily going for people walking up? So we have, where are we? Here, the ramp, them leaving late at night, walking up. They've got light under this door over here. And then walking up, they've got the LED going to the alley. So they're 3/4 of the way up to the municipal parking.
And there is another light down the road.
And then,
Right, it's pretty bright in front of that apartment building.
and
there.
then there's another light. So that would get them pretty close to the other light. And that would kind of solve the problem.
I I guess if I had to make a recommendation, I would say I would try the 2 lights first and see what kind of light they cast before putting the one up on the side in the alley. Especially if you're thinking, by the time this gets done, it won't be dark anymore. So, uh, I don't, it's probably going to be a year before that pole gets pulled down and a new one gets put up, and it could be dark again at that point. But I don't know. I guess I would say start with the 2. What that does.
Yeah, sounds good.
If we had some here, light up there, but have those architectural so the sidewalk would be well lit up.
And what's the cost of the light again?
$250 a piece.
But the building would look aesthetically a lot better, and you'd get more. Because right now we have, was it a incandescent mercury vapor light out there over the thing, the spotlight? That one, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of that. Your suggestion, Jeannie, it's fine with me.
I say go with Jeannie's suggestion.
Yeah, I think the 2 lights that Jeannie
Well, the
suggested is a
Christmas
good start.
with those.
I think we're
So
going to
this
get
is for 3 lights now, right?
No,
Looking
just
at
2
2.
right now.
Just here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
nothing
see-
for the street.
Just to
See if it
see what the
casts
light, what
enough
the
light
illumination
right now.
is.
So we're
I mean,
thinking,
you start with the 2 and see what the illumination is,
Yeah.
and if it's still deficient, then you look at the other light.
Yeah.
I just hate to put another light up if we're going to put a light up on a pole, although I don't know how long it's going to be before the light goes up on the pole.
Will the bridge get replaced or will the pole come down first? That would be the question.
So is that what you like?
Sounds like a good fundraiser
It is.
I'll make that motion
for the 2 lights.
and the 2 lights, architectural, similar to that. LED lights over each door, please. One will be replacing that incandescent style spotlight that's out there now.
Second, motion and a second discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item is, I had asked this earlier, who would moderate the forum? Would you like me to call Fred Caruso and see if he'd be interested in doing it?
I think that would be a
That'd be
wonderful idea.
fantastic.
Next item is the in memoriam for the town report. We're starting to run out of time. We need somebody to write the language for that, and I'm guessing we could probably find a photo unless somebody has one for that individual that you're naming the in memoriam for. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So-
John.
I attended the memorial service forum over at the church, and it was really, really well. The family wrote some things about him. And Bill Lawrence is a good friend of his that
Yep.
they've spent a lot of time together. And I think maybe we could get a copy of that and ask if we could do it. Maybe Bill could direct us in the right way.
Can you ask him?
You want me
if
to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
I think Bill or Judy, either one. And I think that Bill would have some pictures.
Again, time is
Yeah, so that would be
Running out.
this weekend.
Yep.
Definitely.
dedication of the town report. There have been years where you haven't done a dedication. I think so if you don't have anyone that comes to mind, there have been situations where I think at one point there were 3 years in a row where you didn't have a dedication. But if you're going to do that, we need to know who, and we need to know who's going to write the dedication. And again,
I think we have an idea. I'll email you tomorrow.
Can we, I had a couple thoughts. Would it be something we could mute the mics and talk about it? Or,
No, sorry, no.
I didn't know how that works
No.
because it's,
I
it's
know.
supposed to be
I would say write
surprising.
it on a piece of paper if you're going to do it, but that's where you've done it before.
At this time, or email, or
Yeah, that's,
I'll be the,
again, I can't even stress hard enough, like the deadline was last week.
Yeah.
So, and it's got to be done quickly.
Give me a Post-it note.
They're so far away.
I'm so demanding, I know.
Oh, no, they used to be within arm's reach, so.
It will be.
Do you want me to get you one of those little toy cars?
Remote control,
Yeah.
just zip it back and forth.
The other item on my list, action list, is Community Service Award. If you're going to do that, while that doesn't go in the town report, it is something that we have to order the plaque for, and supply chain issues are such that we need to have that done soon. Again, just unless you have somebody, I don't think you feel like you need to, but we got to know. Or we just won't have what we need to present.
Oh, we can't. Give it to Jeannie here.
I,
And
I had someone in mind for that. Can I write a name down while we're on that? We have plenty of Post-it notes.
Post-it notes
That's what
don't
scares
grow
me.
on trees, Pat. Actually, they do, don't they? Sorry.
We're not
What's that?
talking about trees right now. We've had enough tree controversy this week.
and
I have to go from one of them.
Honored to do it too.
the last thing I have on my report is I did want to mention I did get a call from a resident complaining about the snow plowing. I did speak with our DPW director, and his crew was short. They worked very hard over this time, but this resident did make a complaint, and I told him I would bring it to you. He said that his road had not been plowed by noon that day, and when I talked to the DPW director, he said he had actually been out there himself twice and plowed. So
Perception is reality sometimes, I came out, I kind of knew the road had been plowed, and this is Silver Lake, but it was snowing hard at my house anyway. So it didn't look like it had been plowed.
Lake effect.
that's all I
Heck
have.
yeah.
I know when Kevin does and the crew goes out, a lot of times they'll open up the road and, keep the road open. And then towards the later on in the day, they go back and widen it, push it all back. But they keep, trying to keep up with such a heavy storm. I know they do that on Morrison Ave. I watch them do it, and they open up the road, they keep it open, and then come back later on in the afternoon and actually make sure it's curb to curb.
They've done that on my street too.
Back to, it occurred to me, I don't recall if you settled on a date for the candidates night.
Yeah, we haven't. And the 23rd and the 28th were thrown out there.
28th.
23rd or 28th. I guess it would depend on who the moderator is and if they were available.
So I have the Community Service Award is who's going to write
Well, is that the one I just,
this is the Community
The
Service
one you were
Award.
looking at,
is that
that one.
everybody that's like unanimous? Or?
I would absolutely. I think that person has been wonderful. So I'm all on board.
Oh, heck yeah. I can think of lots of things he does, and it's not
Or
obvious.
this person does.
This person,
This
does.
person, good job.
He could be a she.
Throw it to him.
And who will write that?
I can.
You're writing it?
I'll take a stab at it.
Well, pass it around.
Yeah.
Do a first draft, send
then
it out.
send it out and-
We can add to
Yeah,
it.
like what John did with the.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that there's a lot of things that I don't know about this person that they can add.
Do you think we'll have that by Monday?
Oh,
Sure.
It's gonna be cold all weekend.
Yeah,
What else
you
do you
can
have
be
to do?
outside.
Keep the fingers moving.
Put your little fingerless mittens on and.
We'll get it there.
you
Yes.
did gloves, not
Exactly.
fingerless.
The thing that I sent you, did we already discuss that or
The
we
youth,
discussed the youth award?
the youth one.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
That, I thought you would have brought that up under your report, but,
But
I saw it on yours, so I.
yeah.
didn't.
So date,
for the 23rd or the 28th, I'd prefer the 28th only because I do have a commitment on the 23rd.
the 23rd or 28th? Okay.
28th, we can go up to the EOC. Well, I think we should go to the EOC anyway.
I'll check with, well, when the chief gets here, we can ask him if that's open on those dates. Okay. And I assume since I didn't see anything on a dedication, we have no dedication.
We do.
Oh, we do. Okay. And who's writing that?
Joe is.
Joe's going to take a stab at it and then
Yeah,
we can
take a
all.
stab at it.
At the dedication.
I don't know what that is. Okay.
That's,
There was,
that's.
there was one other one, I'm going to just, that I was thinking about.
Yeah, the chief. John, can I, remember our conversation last night?
Mhm.
You mind if I hop in just with your, so John, I think has done a wonderful job in terms of sending the other piece through on the, what John and I briefly talked about last night. We're wondering in terms of the titling on the Youth Community Service Award. You know, that, is it that, you know, is it a young people's involvement, you know, just in terms of what we call, I mean, we can just call it the Youth Community Service, but I think he and I agreed last night, if we're going to have that range from sort of 16 to 25 years old, does youth, you know,
The young adult.
yeah, I mean, young adult.
Is it, would you call it young adult or?
Yeah. I think
Young
so.
adult.
Young adult. Young.
When is the age? 13 to?
16 to
16.
25.
Yeah, young adult.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, I was trying to think if, you know, is that a good age?
I think so.
And I think I'm looking for a target area of getting people, you know, high school, just graduating from high school and then starting out.
Do we have any
involved.
suggestions?
For what? The
This
person?
the
this one's
award?
later in the year.
No,
though.
he's
Yeah.
talking about 2024, so.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not this year,
Yeah.
but
Not this year, we're
2024.
going to announce it.
Announce it. Great
Yeah,
idea.
I think,
Perfect idea.
and
I saw the criteria. I read it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
because my printer is horrible. How much you want for the other printer? I'm having real
Oh my
problems.
God.
Yes.
Looks like moldy cheese.
It's horrible.
So,
I use it.
Chief, the EOC, is it available the 23rd or the 28th of February? Do you have any trainings going on that evening?
The 23rd, the 23rd is probably semi-busy, huh?
I don't know what the 23rd is.
The Thursday.
Well, you won't have a meeting.
Yeah. Thursday, we know this room is open, but that, I mean, going to the EOC, I think is a good idea. And to be honest,
Well, where does planning board meet? Oh, that's
They're-
not a Thursday.
They don't do it
okay.
on a
Tuesdays.
Thursday.
No, those days are good
Okay,
for that.
all right. Well, can you hold those both open? Thanks.
thank you.
I think they're ready for you.
So can we try on the 28th
Yep.
first and then
Preferred.
if
Right.
not, then the 23rd? Oh, got it.
Thank you, sir.
I definitely love the bigger print.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you hear me all? I definitely love the bigger print.
Bigger print?
Oh, yeah.
So we know the chief needs it too, so.
Yeah. It's at 40 and that's what happened. My doctor said. All right. Well, good evening.
Evening, chief.
So I'm back to talk about the MOU that we spoke about 2 weeks ago on the 19th.
Are you listening?
Yeah, both ears.
Okay.
Yep, we're good.
So you weren't here just because we were way ahead of schedule, but I think if I understand, you were pretty much okay. There were just a couple questions,
Mhm.
Excellent.
unless
So-
you want them to go through it line by line.
No, I mean, I made a little cheat sheet, so I know what each person asked for. I went through, but if you guys are good, that was just for me because I don't like curveballs. I like right down the middle. So, is there anything you guys?
Selectman
Go
Constantino?
ahead.
I have on
Right.
number 6, chain of command. As an employee of the town, this SRO will be subject to the chain of command determined by the town and the chief of police. Could you just run by me what the chain of command is?
Chain of command is?
Mhm.
The chain of command would go through me. Well, technically, the SRO would go through a sergeant that's on duty, and then the chain of command would then go through me. So as an employee, the SRO goes through the chief of police, and then I obviously then go through the town of Tilton. And that's how that goes. That's why we're doing what we're doing right now.
So all right.
So if,
It's a little confusing if you read it like
so
that.
maybe you could give an example of how that would work. If the SRO had an issue at the school, is that what you're talking about? Or if there were a problem?
Yeah, if there was a problem, they would go through their sergeant, and
Right.
then, but the top of the top would be the chief, and then obviously I go through the town of Tilton. You guys are the top. So anything that would be above that I would obviously go to the town.
So
Um,
if the SRO did something that the school was upset with,
Yep.
it would go to the sergeant, then the sergeant would go to you, and you, if it were an offense where you think the person needed to have a reprimand or something more serious, you would go to the selectmen because they are the hiring and
the
firing authority.
hiring, yep. And I would
Okay.
present that to them and go from there.
So for
So I
the
think that's
sake of
how
the
it's written.
contract, the
Yep.
wording you're just saying is just going to be determined by the town, and that's it, by the town and the chief of police.
That's correct.
Okay, got it. I'm all set.
So I have the one clean copy if you,
Okay.
Chief, are you ready to have them sign it?
You have the one clean copy?
Well, the one you just handed me, I
Yep.
assume that's a clean copy.
Yep, that's a clean copy. That would be the one. So as long as everybody else is
I mean,
good with
I'm not trying
everything.
to rush anyone. so.
Did you happen to run this by the SRO?
What's
Or
that?
This
This,
memorandum of understanding, or no? The
no.
duties, what I was just thinking was just the duties
Yep.
part.
Well, the duties, the SRO knows their duties as,
So that hasn't changed any
No.
at all.
no, that has not changed.
Got it.
I just wanted to get this finalized, and then obviously then I can sit down with the SRO and go over this.
Got it.
So
I just wanted to make sure that it didn't change from
I
any.
don't want to confuse them, or, the SRO at all.
Mhm.
Sit down, go over some things, and then maybe we sit down and talk, and then it's changed, so. All right.
Make a motion that we accept the school resource order officer memorandum of understanding dated today, February 2nd, 2023.
Jessamine second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Great.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And who
All
gets
right.
it? You? Who gets it? You?
Prepared for that one, but
It should go to the chief.
He needs to get the superintendent and he needs to sign it. There are signatures for him and the superintendent. And then, Chief, you just need to give us a copy for our files.
yep, that sounds great.
Eric had a question for the chief.
I did.
Yeah.
Think. Good. So this weekend we have some pretty extreme cold weather starting tomorrow. Are there any warming centers that will be available as your role as emergency management that we should be alerting the public to, so that in case someone loses heat or something, they can go somewhere to warm up?
So we only have so many locations. The EOC at the Tilton Police Department would be one. The school would be the second, but obviously there is school tomorrow. So I'm working with Saturday with Rob Berry to have a center open there. I was actually just making a phone call when I was heading this way. There is a warming station that's in Ashland on School Street, and they've allowed anybody that, any homeless population or anything like that, anybody that needs any assistance, we can try to get them up to Ashland, and they have everything available. So
We have a senior center too.
we have a senior center, but the generator and making sure that everything's good with that. Because if we
Don't
lose
power, we're okay.
yeah, and that's the thing. I think if
Right.
for the warming center, it's more if I think if we lose power for any homeless population, we can get them to Ashland.
Or if they lose power.
And if they lose power, I don't think the senior center is going to.
Well, I'm thinking of if someone loses, their furnace breaks down or something. I mean, our furnaces here aren't designed for the extreme temperatures that we're going to get.
Yep.
So people are going to go through fuel faster than normal.
Yep, correct.
And they may not be able to get an emergency delivery.
Yep.
So if I, Joe Q Public, need a place to warm up.
Yep. The
Can I-
Tilton Police Department.
So someone could go to the Tilton Police Department and they would be allowed to sit in.
Yep. We'll have the EOC and we'll split that like we did during the last storm. And then we can make accommodations from there.
Can we just make sure that that gets out on
Yep.
whatever?
Yep.
Just so.
Absolutely.
'Cause I've seen it in a lot of other towns where, you know, they can go to the library, they can go to this, they can go to that,
Yeah.
you know, and, you know, some people may not have the means to get to Ashland and, you know, you guys have 5 calls going on. Well, you're not going to be able to get someone up to Ashland.
Yeah. It's definitely limited in this area. I'm trying to work on that. So thank you.
Anything else for the chief? Mr. Jessup.
I will say that under one of the prior chiefs, we had a official warming center at the high school in the cafetorium.
Yep.
And we had access to food from the kitchen. I was the kitchen guy.
Mhm.
And we only had to open it once.
Yeah.
Only had 2 people, but it was
That's
a
two.
godsend to them.
Yep.
And we had cots.
Yep.
Now, I'm just wondering, for Friday night to Saturday morning, they can go to the EOC, but is there any place to accommodate them with a cot or anything like that to stretch out?
And that would be Ashland. That would, we would accommodate them we would get them a ride to Ashland to get them there for those cots. I know that I can give a call to John Beelan, and I know that they have some cots and things that we could use. And I've been talking with Rob Berry at the school to try to, there's like a mobile or it's almost like I can't even think of the word. It's like a rolling emergency, and they have cots and everything else with that. And that's just it's just the point of getting all those resources here. So
That might have been where the cots came from the last time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where they came from.
60 Business Park Drive.
Bob put that together.
Remember?
All set. Thank you, chief,
thank you.
as always. Mrs. Forster, anything else? Oh, the bag is packed up, so town administrator's report
If you
is
need the senior center.
is
come
done.
around.
So,
Okay.
and do we want to bring Mr. Pearson back up to the podium? Do we notice that the camera angle has now eliminated the podium?
Yeah.
Oh, completely.
See that? So
Completely.
Notice that in the
A
last
little
one.
more the other day.
I think we need a picture in picture, a little separate camera.
You know, I was thinking that
Right,
curtain on the right would look really
right
good.
here, right there, right there.
Where's the
Oh,
cord?
what?
The
We do
cord.
have one?
Yeah,
Oh,
Well, hello.
blamed it on the
Hmm.
cord the last time.
okay. Yeah, we see how this is going these days. So,
Picture in picture.
is there any new business, Mr. Jessman?
Heck yeah. Well, wait a minute. Isn't Mr. Pearson going to be giving a little report?
No, he already did. He was here.
Yeah, then he's done. My new business is motion to adjourn.
Second.
Wait, it's only 7:06.
Motion in a second. Any discussion other than Mr.
This says
Pyra?
8:45.
So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I am.